Hello and welcome to another episode of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill, and I'm going to start us off with our sport business moment. And it's kind of interesting because, brick and mortar hasn't been doing really well. And I see the Foot Locker's teaming with Nike, and it's going to roll out bigger stores and more interactive stores that are 4 times as big as a typical Foot Locker store in a mall. And they're going to open 50 of these. They're planning to open 50 of these stores over the next 3 years. And they already opened up a 9,000 square foot store in New York. And so Nike's involved with Foot Locker because 2/3 of the products that Foot Locker buys are Nike products. And you're going to be able to, Nike's going to have special treatment for people that have the Nike app. Like you're going to get free merch, free swag, opportunity to purchase exclusive products, chance to win a free pair of sneakers and things like that. So it's kind of like, it makes sense. I mean, there's plenty of space in a mall. The malls aren't going to cost much money.
No, especially moving forward as they less and less in the malls.
And I guess the art and everything else is going to be for sneakerheads. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'd be planning on 50 of them in 3 years, but they're probably going to see how they go and see what's up and see how they progress.
Now, there are Nike stores already.
Right.
With you.
These are Foot Locker stores.
Okay.
That are partnered with Nike.
Now, I must admit, there's been a few different pairs of shoes over the years that Nike has put out that I was very interested in buying. Specifically, there was 2 PlayStation shoes that I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But they did that super limited run, and even I couldn't even pre-order them. I missed the pre-order. I mean, do they intend on making more of those sneakerheady kind of shoes available to everybody, or is it just? I mean,
no,
why am I going to the store? I guess
they don't talk about that, but they do talk about having special launches and things like that. And I think for Nike, since they closed that Nike store in New York, that I think now what they're doing is, all right, these guys already have brick and mortar. Let's enhance what they do with what we do and not have the brick and mortar expense ourselves.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I know Nike is probably the biggest brand in shoes, but obviously if you go to a Foot Locker now, I can buy Adidas. I can buy Pumas.
Yeah.
Maybe buy Reebok. Still make Reebok?
Yeah, they still do.
Okay. Well, the point being, if I'm one of those, am I upset with Foot Locker? If they're going if they're going to be featuring Nike shoes over my shoes and maybe pushing Nike more than my brand? Am I pulling out of their store?
Possibly. And going to Finish Line or somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah, maybe so.
At least Adidas
or maybe maybe you want to see something different and you want to experiment and you want to see this whole interactive model that they have. So I don't know. We'll see what the reviews are.
Okay. I have another minor sports business moment.
Okay.
Right now, I think Dak Prescott. Well, no, he wants $40 million. He turned down $30 million a year from the Cowboys. He wants 40, which would be $5 million a year more than every other NFL quarterback currently playing, which seems pretty insane considering it's Dak Prescott.
Yeah, and he hasn't won anything, and they haven't been in the playoffs.
He hasn't won anything, and he's had some really nice moments, especially late in games. Like, it seems like he's got a lot of poise and he's a good leader. But his anticipation and arms, his arm talent seemed to be a little bit in question. And you would also, I realize you want to get as much money as you can, and I'm not hating on the guy for asking for as much money as possible, yada, yada, all that good stuff. I'm always pro player in the sense of that. But on some level, if he was able to get that, you're not going to have anybody to play with.
True. And
if you're getting 40, they're not signing Dak or they're not signing Amari and Ezekiel with you. Not for that amount.
And we remember that Dak Prescott didn't put up a lot of great numbers without either of those 2 players, even missing one of them.
Yeah. I mean,
and so
Amari was when they came at the end, it was kind of freakish as good as they were. Their numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think Amari Cooper was a solid receiver. He was just playing in Oakland.
Yes, he was.
And obviously, he'd have more value to somebody else who could actually throw the ball.
Yeah.
We saw that Antonio Brown lost his grievance on his helmet, but he's not going to retire. He's going to play.
Yeah, who knew?
That's our Antonio Brown hater moment of the day.
I know, and it was one of those, like, I still have a little bit of love for Antonio Brown, despite a lot of other Pittsburgh people. But when you hear that the NFL offers 28 other styles of helmets to wear, that his is a 10-year-old helmet, not like it's, a competitor right now that's just a money issue, they won't let him wear it, and that he was given a 5-year warning. Like, within the next 5 years, you won't be able to wear the helmet you're wearing. Here's 28 other styles to try. And then he still pulled all this stuff.
And logically, given the movie Concussion and everything else, wouldn't you want something that did meet NFL standards to play in?
And as we know from that horrible Vontaze Burfict hit, he's had a concussion.
Yeah.
I mean, at least one. I'm sure he's had more, but at least one on the record where he got just destroyed in a very, very unsportsmanlike hit. But I think I've noticed listening to the talking heads on the ESPN and the Fox Sports and stuff, like 6 months ago, it was Roethlisberger, the Steelers, it was everybody. And now it seems like the momentum has really swung. And they're asking, is this guy worth a headache? And, it seems like Antonio Brown left Pittsburgh in a bad way for Steeler fans, but it seemed like he had a lot of love throughout the rest of the league and a lot of support in his decision. And it seems like he's done everything he can to burn that goodwill in a very short amount of time before ever stepping on the field.
Yep, with his frozen feet.
His frozen feet is showing up. I mean, his things he said, like, he just hasn't helped himself at all.
No. Well, while we're still on the Steelers, what's your reaction to this first game?
Well, I mean, I'm a big fan of Devin Hodges, the fourth-string quarterback. I'm taking the I love the backup quarterback to the extreme.
You are.
But
he came in
I was thinking
good.
about it in terms of being – he came in and looked good. I know it's a smaller school, but he's the all-time Division I leading – he's got a good arm. He's got arm talent. And I guess my thing was this. If I was Bill Belichick right now and I had Dobbs and Rudolph and Roethlisberger and this young guy. Now, again, I'm not in practice with him every day, but I feel like Belichick would be like, I'm going to pick either Dobbs or Rudolph, and that's going to be my guy moving forward, and I'm going to see if I can get something for one of the other two. I need an asset.
Yep.
I'm not just going to sit on this guy. And I feel like that's the Belichickian. I mean, he probably would have traded Roethlisberger. Let's be honest. He's crazy like that. But I feel like he wouldn't sit on right. I mean, he's seen Dobbs and Rudolph now for long enough that he'd be like, this is the guy that's going to be either my future consecutor or at least my backup for this year. And I'll stick with this young kid and I'll try to get an asset for this other guy. But
yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I'm hoping that happens and we get an asset. But I'm also know people are going to know, hey, you're not going to keep all four of these quarterbacks.
Right.
Which kind of weakens your position for trying to get a deal.
It's true. But I mean, if both those guys shine in talking about Rudolph and Dobbs, then maybe somebody looks at him and says, maybe. Because we're looking at, we're going to preview the AFC South tonight. And quarterback is a question mark across that division. At least for me. So.
Well, before we go to the AFC South, I want to comment on the Pirates.
Please do.
Losers of 22 of their last 26.
That's an impressive streak. It
is. Josh Bell hit a couple home runs yesterday. But Cal Crick blew the game again, and they lost 11-8 or 11-9, I think it was. So they lose 1-0, 3-1, 11-9. It doesn't matter. They just lose. And, you've either got to blow this team totally up, which I would do, and I would fire Huntington, Hurdle, all of them, and rebuild from scratch. But the problem is still going to be the owner.
Yes,
and it's just a real shame that the people in Pittsburgh are forced to deal with this product, and it's a very profitable team for the owner. So he's not going to sell that team.
No, it's a beautiful ballpark, and we know obviously personally from being from there, like. If you put a good product on the field, that city will support that team.
But with the exception of the Cubs in that division, you have Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Milwaukee. You don't have big markets.
No.
So why are the Pirates so much inferior to the other four?
Well, I mean,
And there we go. That's the question for the ages.
it is.
All right, Jay, let's go with our AFC South.
Well, real quick, is there any player that's on, not in the minors, but on the current Pirate roster that, in your rebuild, you would think untouchable? Like, I want to keep this guy on the Pirates moving, he's part of my 4-year rebuild, let's say.
I keep Josh Bell, Brian Reynolds, Kevin Newman. I don't know about any of the pitchers, but I'd keep those guys for sure.
Okay.
And I would try and get some value back from Marte. But Cervelli's, not worth. He's too old, and his contract's too big. You're not going to get anything for Cervelli.
No.
There's just not a lot of assets, and you've really promoted a lot of people from the farm system, and your farm system's kind of inept.
Yeah. No, it's very sad.
But I will be watching the Pirates the next 3 games for one reason only. They're playing the Angels, and I want to see Mike Trout.
That's a good reason for everybody to watch the Pirates this week. Watch Mike Trout.
So I'll be staying up late 2 of the nights. Wednesday's an earlier game, but I'll be staying up late tomorrow night and Wednesday night, as late as I can go, to see Mike Trout bat at least 3 times.
Okay.
All right. So let's talk about the AFC South.
Now, do we want to go 4-3-2-1 or 1-2-3-4?
Let's go 4-3-2-1 like we did last year. I like that.
I do as well.
Okay, start us off.
I think the worst team in the division will be the Tennessee Titans. I think both the two top quarterbacks from that draft, and Mariota and Winston, I don't think either of them are great. And I think Derrick Henry's giant fantasy push the last 4 games of a season where he put up like 600 yards in 4 weeks, I think that was sort of an anomaly. I don't see that happening again. I think, it's obviously the receiver they drafted in the first round is a nice player, but he's not a number one. Besides not being a great quarterback, Mariota, I think I wrote this down, he's 27-28 in his career. He gets hurt a lot. He's never played a 16-game season. And I just don't think there's a lot to like on that team.
No, when you look at the division, you look at the other quarterbacks in the division, you look at the other teams in the division, they're probably entrenched at that number 4 spot.
I think so. And I think June, or is it June, the NFL draft? May. I think they're going to be looking at a Tua, Abert, like Frome. I think they're going to be looking at a quarterback and starting from scratch.
So what's your over-under on number of wins?
I think they're going to win 5.
Okay. I think they're going to win 6. Not significantly better than what you think, but that's what I think they're going to do.
I honestly could see them going over. I'm sure in the division, because you're playing the division, eventually you're going to get to a team. You're going to play a team that you've got. We know when the Browns were bad, they still put up good numbers against the Steelers. Like when you're playing your division teams, you'll probably knock somebody off at some point. But I can see them going 1-5 in the division pretty easily.
Okay. My number 3 is going to be the Jaguars.
Ooh, we differ on number 3.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the Jaguars because I'm not convinced that I'm more or less convinced that 2 years ago was a blip.
Okay.
That they played a really bad schedule that year, and they won a lot of games, but they really weren't that good. And they went back. They descended last year, had a lot of issues. I'm not sold on the quarterback situation, even though Bortles isn't the quarterback. But I'm just not sold.
Let's see.
And I'm also thinking they're going to win 6 games, maybe 7. Yeah, they're a disappointment to me. What do you think?
I
What do
got
you
the
think?
Texans coming in third. Yeah. I love Deshaun
Whoa,
Watson.
okay.
I love Hopkins. I love Fuller. I think they can be really good. But you've got Jadeveon Clowney holding out. He's very unhappy. Your offensive line is still very, very shaky. And I just, I think the problem with last year was health and keeping. I just don't think you're going to be Deshaun Watson healthy behind that line again. And I think the defense with Jadeveon Clowney angry and some other, losing a few people here and there, I think they're going to win 6-7 games. I think they're going to be one of the biggest disappointments in the league this year. I know they had two of their linemen, Cahill and Henderson, were both off. They season-ending injuries last year. They drafted a lineman in the first round, but he's a guy that Howard they thought would be. People thought he had an amazing amount of talent. That maybe he's a guy that's a great tackle 2 to 3 years down the line. They gave up 62 sacks last year, which is a lot of sacks, and it's not that much better.
It is a lot of sacks,
and I don't know. Like I said, I love Deshaun Jackson. I love watching him, but I don't like him.
All right. So my number 2 team is the Texans. I think they'll win.
All right.
9 games. Between 8 and 9, but I'm going to go 9. I think they're going to win 9 games. I just think that they have enough talent. They're gonna go probably 2-4, 5-1 in the 5-1 or 4-2 at the very worst in the division. And again, it's not that strong of a division to begin with.
I have the Jags at number 2, believe it or not, and here's why.
Okay.
I know you think so.
All right, I want to hear it.
Leonard Fournette is going to have a monster year this year. He's been kind of banged up the last 2 years. He looks like he's in way better shape this year. Looks great. He's in a contract year, which is very important for him. I think this is his prove-it year, and I think he's going to prove it. He still averaged 1,000 yards last year, the year one. So I think a lot of what's going to help him out is Nick Foles, Super Bowl winning quarterback, Big Dick Nick.
Well, I think the only knock on Fournette is that he gets hurt.
But I've watched him a little bit, and I've read some Jacksonville stuff, and it looks like he's trimmed down a little bit, got a little better shape. He's finally maybe, sometimes it takes a while for them to realize you can't live as much as you train to be an elite athlete in college. Like, it's a next level to make that in the NFL. I think he's making that transition. I think D.D. Westbrook and some of those receivers they have are really, really good. And I think one of the issues they had was that, Blake Bortles was their quarterback. And I like Foles. I think he's good enough. And that defense had a down year last year, but their defense reminded me of Steelers' defenses occasionally growing up, where the offense was so bad that by midseason, the defense just sort of gave up. Because they were like, what are we doing this for? And I think they just played with a little bit less heart. It was kind of sucked out of them. But I think, Jalen Ramsey and all those guys are still there on defense. They're still a monster defense. And I think, if the offense gives them a little bit more, I think they're going to be inspired, and I think they're going to come up and sort of surprise a few people. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think only one team is making the playoffs out of the division. But I think, an 8-8 finish, second in the division is where I see them coming in.
All right, so I guess we're both in agreement on the number 1 team.
I think their GM has been phenomenal with the draft the last couple of years. He did exactly what you want to do. Like, he's built a monster offensive line. They still have T.Y. Hilton. They added Funches and Paris Campbell. Like, they've got nice receivers. I don't think Eric Ebron is going to be what he was last year, where it seemed like he was catching a touchdown every time you turn on the television. But I think they've done a nice job on offense, on defense. I think they're the best coach team in the division. But they do have the giant looming question mark. Andrew Luck's calf.
Yeah. And, he's 53 and 33 over the last 4 years as a starter. That's impressive. Last year, he set highs in completions, highs in attempts, but a high completion rate. And I think that the scheme fits him. The pieces fit him. I definitely think they win the division, and they're the team that goes. I agree with you.
Yes.
Only one team goes to the playoffs,
and
that's the team.
I think if he's healthy the entire year, and again, that's that you hate to say if he's healthy, but I think with Andrew Luck, we can open that bag of question. I mean, is he healthy? That's always the question, especially this year, where he's had a 4-week-long calf injury that nobody, that's kind of getting ignored, but it might be a bigger deal than they want to talk about. But I think in the AFC right now, where we'll obviously talk about other teams and other divisions, but at some point, Tom Brady's wheels are going to come off a little bit. And as much as I'm rooting for my Steelers, and
That's
the Browns
last year.
Exciting, and people still love the Chargers and the Chiefs. Like, I think the Colts could be right there. If obviously ifs and buts, candy and nuts, all that sort of stuff. But if Andrew Luck is healthy and they avoid major injuries, I think the Colts could be a team vying to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl. That's how good I think they could be. Yeah. I mean, I love, they drafted guys like Raka Sin at the cornerback out of Temple. I absolutely love that dude. To go along with the other guy, that they drafted in the last couple of years, they built a really solid team. And I think they've got a little bit of what the Patriots used to have, where I think they're in a division where they could easily go 5-1 or 6-0 in that division. And, you pick up 3 or 4 more wins, and all of a sudden you're at 10, 11 wins right now without even having to, Whereas our Steelers have always had to battle the Ravens for the most part, head to head. So you got 2 of the best teams in AFC button heads. I think the Colts might have one of the easiest paths to the Super Bowl, or to division title, I should say, maybe not Super Bowl.
So what do you think the Colts record is in their division?
I don't think anyone beats them in the Dome.
Okay.
And I do think they drop one on the road at some point.
That's pretty accurate.
Because those fans are loud, and I mean, when you're loud in a dome, it's a tough place to be. They really are.
Plus, that team's built to play on turf. They play better on turf than they play on grass. All right. So we're both picking the same team to win.
They are.
We're both picking the same
team.
I
don't know why. I'm expecting a lot of things to happen for Jacksonville to be good, but I just think they have. I do.
I think you have more faith.
I really do.
More faith in Nick Foles than I do.
I probably see way more in that than I probably should, but whatever. And I think I think he could just have a great year. I'm excited. Like I said, I think Fournette's going to be really good. I'm hoping to get him in fantasy. That's how much I like him. In a realistic spot,
Wow. Okay.
It is. Not in a league where I'd have to keep him for a long time, but for this year, I like him a lot.
So, okay, so let's say you get the number 1 pick in your fantasy league. Who's your pick?
That's a tough one. I would probably say Saquon. I rode him to the championship last year. I mean, obviously I had James Conner and Patrick Mahomes, who I picked up late, who obviously got me quite a bit, but Barkley is just, he had 97 receptions, over 1,000 yards rushing, and double-digit touchdowns. And he is as good as any running back I've ever seen in football. And he's only going into his year. He's
off.
Speed, power, hands. He just does it all. And I know that Odell's gone, but I think they've got a better offensive line, and I think they might be a more efficient team offensively this year. And I think he's going to put up amazing stats. And I still feel like running back is a little thinner than wide receiver. Okay. I think, being as the passing league, I think you can find a lot of guys that can put up pretty good receiving stats in football. We do.
No question.
Stay in the
So
southern
next
region.
week we do the NFC South. Okay, we'll stay in the southern region.
Well,
So
I was
entertainment, food
entertained at
news. What do you
your
got?
retirement thing. It was wonderful. It was entire weekend event, which is pretty incredible. And people said amazing, amazing things about you. And it was a very beautiful experience.
I know. I thought I should let you and Dan have rebuttal time. I thought that would have been pretty funny if I just asked you guys to come up for rebuttal time. No, it was really special. I mean, a lot of people came, and a lot of people had some amazing things to say. And I just tweeted out today that I learned it's not just the big things you do, but it's a lot of the little things you do that are little to you, but they're not little to other people. And that's the message I walked away from. It was very, very.
And coming back, I ended up having a double breakfast, Dad. Just if you're in the Tampa airport and it's 6 a.m,
go ahead.
Burger 21, which you wouldn't necessarily think about, makes a really good breakfast sandwich. They do double egg, double cheese, and bacon as their standard breakfast sandwich. So you're getting a good deal of egg on that sandwich, and it's the good bacon.
Wow.
And then when I was in New Orleans, I went to a place called Toast. There's 2 locations for Toast. And as you can imagine, they make everything from scratch, including their toast, which I did not get. I got a cheddar biscuit sandwich. It was really good, thick cut bacon, excellent cheddar, like a cheddar cheese biscuit, really nice fluffy done eggs, wonderful sandwich. And because it was the special of the day, I got a toasted marshmallow cinnamon roll. It was a cinnamon roll, and then they toasted marshmallow over the top like a s'mores.
Ooh.
And it was quite good. And because I was with Maria, and Maria had never had them before, we got Abel Skeevers. Have you heard of those? Abel Skeevers are like little round pancakes.
No.
I would say, because they're not.
Oh, they're like.
Yeah, they're not deep fried.
Yeah, I know what they are.
Okay.
We actually have a pan.
Yeah, they're baked, and then I got ours with lemon curd because I'm a big lemon curd fan. But they're really, I mean, they're a fun little snack. So this place offers you
they could be jelly,
all sorts of different stuff you can have with them. But
wow, that sounds like
I mean, they're just a unique thing you don't really see very often. But I would say having had skeevers and pancakes, just eat pancakes.
No, it sounds like a really, really good one.
They're better.
All right. Trying to think if I had a food moment. Went to Columbia last night. I had grouper Jimmy, which is a grilled grouper with crab meat and asparagus. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's good. It's solid. Went to Christino's today, and an amazing pizza at Christino's. We talked about you today, saying how much you would have enjoyed it today. It's the best.
It might be.
It's really
just
after Fiore's. It's definitely my next favorite.
Yeah,
and just one's coal oven and one's not coal oven. But at Fiore's, I don't need any toppings.
Well,
and at Christino's, I do. And the toppings actually combine with the crust and everything to make it. Whereas Fiore's,
but part of it is Christino's
crust combo is so good. I don't need anything
else. Finely diced sausage, which I think is excellent on pizza. And they do the thick pepperoni that curls up into the little cups.
It is.
Which again,
rather than
I know, shocking, right?
Which is Boar's
head pepperoni. I just figured it was like an imported pepperoni from somewhere, but
totally shocking.
I'm surprised that's not.
But it is the curl up.
Like I know Marco's is like the only like chain pizza place I know that they do both kinds, but they call that old world pepperoni. But every time I've had a pepperoni discussion, people love that kind of pepperoni. So you figure more like Pizza Hut or one of those places would just start doing it, but for whatever reason they don't.
Well, that pizza place that you told me about that I went on Gold Belly and bought in New York, that has that kind of pepperoni, and it has a spicy tomato sauce and loaded with pepperoni. That's
the Prince
when we
Street
go
pizza.
up in December. I'm going to have to go there live and in person and have that pizza. Yep, it's that good.
Like I said, when I saw that, I was
if it
just
was
like,
that good frozen.
I immediately texted you and I was like, "Have you tried this pizza before?" It's like, it looks so amazing.
And it looks so good. My entertainment moment. I'm in 9 episodes now of City on the Hill. Really, really outstanding, and looking forward to the season climax next week. And then I'm going to watch on Becoming a God in Central Florida, which looks like it's
I think so.
a takeoff on Amway.
Well, our serial killer show is coming back this month. The Netflix, which I'm pretty excited about.
Yep,
I think so.
I'm very excited about that. I have it on my calendar. It's like the 16th, right? Yeah, I'm real excited about that.
Mindhunters. Couldn't remember what it was called.
That was a great show. Mindhunters. Yep. Really good, believable serial killers in it, too. I mean, the actors portraying the serial killers are really, really good. And again, if you haven't seen it, I don't care what the reviews are.
Yes, indeed.
Go see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Real quick entertainment, since we're already past the half-hour mark and people can stop listening if they want. But I watched Dead Again. That's a really good movie. The Kenneth Branagh movie. With the scissors.
Yeah,
I forgot Robin Williams is in it in a serious role.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little bit about past life regression and murder, and
I remember that.
It's pretty tight, pretty well done. It's a little cheesy because I think it was like late 80s, early 90s, so it's got a little bit of that feel to it, but it's still a really good story. Very interesting. But we'll probably end our show now, so please rate us on iTunes, tell your friends, support us on Patreon, send us questions about sports, sure.
Yeah. Sports, food, entertainment.
Poorly, but sure.
Not into fashion yet, but we could probably answer some fashion questions. All right, everybody, have a good week.